Hello and welcome to the Andes Public Library Storytime. It's Wednesday, January 13th, 2021, and I'm Miss Pam. Thank you for joining us today. Well, on Monday, we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, so I thought I would read a few books along those lines. And one of my favorite books about Dr. King is Martin's Big Words, The Life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Doreen Rappaport, illustrated by Bryan Collier. Then we have a book called The Other Side by Jacquelin Woodson, illustrations by E.B. Lewis, about racial division and from the eyes of a child. And then we have A Little Girl Searching for Something Beautiful, and this is by Sharon Dennis Wyeth, illustrated by Chris Soentpiet. I'm not sure if I said that right. But, okay, so Martin's Big Words. Everywhere in Martin's hometown he saw the signs, white only. His mother said these signs were all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. In church, Martin sang hymns, he read from the Bible, he listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And we'd be well to listen to those words now. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a new way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had agreed they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived a black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop. But they kept on marching. Wait! For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls would join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot and he died. His big words are alive for us today. Freedom, peace, together. I have a dream. Love. So, and we know, and Dr. Martin Luther King knew, that true strength never comes with violence. True strength is being able to work through our problems with love and compassion. So, now let's look at things from a little girl's perspective. The Other Side by Jacquelin Woodson, illustrated by E.B. Lewis. That summer, the fence that stretched through our town seemed bigger. We lived in a yellow house on one side of it. White people lived on the other. And Mama said, "Don't climb over that fence when you play." She said it wasn't safe. That summer, there was a girl who wore a pink sweater. Each morning, she climbed up on the fence and stared over at our side. Sometimes I stared back. She never sat on that fence with anybody. That girl didn't. Once when we were jumping rope, she asked if she could play, and my friend Sandra said no without even asking the rest of us. I don't know what I would have said. Maybe yes, maybe no. That summer, everyone and everything on the other side of that fence seemed far away. When I asked my mama why, she said, "Because that's the way things have always been." Sometimes when me and Mama went into town, I saw that girl with her mama. She looked sad sometimes, that girl did. "Don't stare," my mama said. "It's not polite." It rained a lot that summer. On rainy days, that girl sat on the fence in a raincoat. She let herself get all wet and acted like she didn't even care. Sometimes I saw her dancing in puddles, splashing and laughing. Mama wouldn't let me go out in the rain. "That's why I bought you rainy day toys," my mama said. "You stay inside here where it's warm and safe and dry." But every time it rained, I looked for that girl, and I always found her somewhere near the fence. Someplace in the middle of the summer, the rain stopped. When I walked outside, the grass was damp and the sun was already high up in the sky, and I stood there with my hands up in the air. I felt brave that day. I felt free. I got close to the fence and that girl asked my name. "Clover," I said. "My name's Annie," she said. "Annie Paul. I live over yonder," she said, "by where you see the laundry. That's my blouse hanging on the line." She smiled then. She had a pretty smile. And then I smiled, and we stood there looking at each other, smiling. "It's nice up on this fence," Annie said. "You can see all over." I ran my hand along the fence. I reached up and touched the top of it. "A fence like this was made for sitting on," Annie said. She looked at me sideways. "My mama says I shouldn't go on the other side," I said. "My mama says the same thing, but she never said nothing about sitting on it." "Neither did mine," I said. That summer, me and Annie sat together on that fence, and when Sandra and them looked at me funny, I just made believe I didn't care. Some mornings my mama watched us. I waited for her to tell me to get down from that fence before I break my neck or something, but she never did. "I see you made a new friend," she said one morning, and I nodded and Mama smiled. That summer, me and Annie sat on that fence and watched the whole wide world all around us. One day Sandra and them were jumping rope near the fence and we asked if we could play. "I don't care," Sandra said, and when we jumped, Sandra and me were partners the way we used to be. When we were too tired to jump anymore, we sat up on the fence, all of us in a long line. "Someday somebody's going to come along and knock down this old fence," Annie said, and I nodded, "Yeah." I said, "Someday." We're still trying to knock down those fences, aren't we? Now we're searching for something beautiful by Sharon Dennis Wyeth, illustrated by Chris. Oh, there's that name again. Soentpiet. Soentpiet. Oh. When I look through my window, I see a brick wall. There's trash in the courtyard and a broken bottle that looks like fallen stars. There's writing in the halls of my building. On the front door, somebody put the word die. That wasn't very nice. Where I walk, I pass a lady whose home is a big cardboard carton. She sleeps on the sidewalk, wrapped in plastic. I run past a dark alley where Mama told me I must never stop. Behind a fence there is a garden without any flowers. Mommy said that everyone should have something beautiful in their life. Where is my something beautiful? The teacher taught me the word in school. I wrote it in my book. B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. Beautiful. I think it means something that when you have it, your heart is happy. I go to Miss Delphine's diner. Hi there, Sugar Pie, said Miss Delphine. What are you up to? I'm looking for something beautiful, I tell her. Sit down for a minute, she says as she goes to the grill. She puts on fish. The fish sizzles. Miss Delphine makes it into a sandwich. There's nothing more beautiful tasting than my fried fish sandwiches, she tells me. My teeth sink in. This is good. When I go back outside, I see some of my friends. Do you have something beautiful? I ask them. I have my jump rope, said Sybil. I have my beads, said Rebecca. Check out my new shoes, said Jamal. My fruit store is one beautiful store, said Mr. Lee. You do have nice apples, I say. Thank you, said Mr. Lee. Take one. Watch my moves, says Mark, playing ball on the playground. Hear my sound, says Georgina, dancing on the sidewalk. Touch this smooth stone, said old Mr. Sims, sitting on his front steps. All these years I've carried it in my pocket. Through the big window in the laundrette, I see Aunt Carolyn holding baby Carl. And where are you off to, little miss? She asks me. I'm looking for something beautiful, I say. She hands me Carl and folds up the clothes. I tickle Carl and he giggles. He makes me giggle too. My baby's laugh is something beautiful, says Aunt Caroline. I go back home and sit down on my stoop. I look at the trash in my courtyard. I see the word die on my door. I go upstairs and get a broom and a sponge and some water. I pick up the trash. I sweep up the glass. I scrub the door very hard. When dye disappears, I feel powerful. Someday I'll plant flowers in my courtyard. I'll invite all my friends to see. I will give a real home and a real bed to the lady who sleeps in a cardboard carton. She will sing and I will hear her song. Mommy comes home from work. She gives me a great big hug. Do you have something beautiful? I asked her. Of course, she says. I have you. And that's it. Oh, let's just look at the author's note really quick. When I was 8 years old, I asked my mother, whose name was Yvonne, for something beautiful. She gave me one of her wedding gifts, a small white china pitcher with a golden handle and a golden rose embossed on it. I put the pitcher on my windowsill so I wouldn't have to look at the alley outside. I called the pitcher my something beautiful. When Mommy gave me the gift, she cautioned me not to forget that I already had something even more beautiful, the something beautiful I had inside. I still have the little pitcher. I keep it next to my bed. It helps keep alive the memory of childhood and my mother's love. So, those are our stories for today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will be back with more stories next week. Take care.